Yo. Hey, welcome to my channel. I am Lawrence Divine. Welcome to Self Help Nation. It's a YouTube channel where we discuss self development issues, and I want to thank you for sharing your time and your day and or your evening to listen to or watch my content. I counted a blessing, and I also counted a privilege to have you take your time to listen to my content, and I want to use your time that we share as efficiently as possible. And now today, I want to help you understand that I am a life coach, and my purpose is to help you find your purpose and to put you back in control of your self-development. In today's topic, we want to talk about how do we learn to, or how do we forgive someone who has hurt us. Many times in life, we're in relationships with people, mother, father, son, daughter, co-worker, cousin, and things happen. People do things. Sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes it's not intentional. And we get hurt. We get our feelings hurt. We feel offended. How do we get past that? And how do we move on after somebody has hurt us? Now, let's go over to Matthew's chapter 18, verses 21 and 22. And I'll read. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? So what Peter was asking Jesus, how many times do I have to forgive my brother for sinning against me? And Jesus said unto him in verse 22, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. So let's take a look at that verse. Now we pick it up, this verse, in a conversation between Peter and Jesus. And actually it was a question. And so Peter posed this question to Jesus. And so let's go through the first word. Let's look at a couple words in verses. Verse 21. The word sin. He basically asks, how many times do I have to forgive my brother if he sins against me? Now, the word sin, in the general sense, it means to miss the mark on the way or to not hit the mark. Many times when we think about sin, we think about the 10 Commandments, and we think about the top worst sins, and murder and adultery and all these types of sins. But at the root of the word sin, it simply means that we have a mark. There's been a standard established, and we somehow, on the way to reaching that standard, miss it. So that means that we haven't really lived up or really met expectations. So sin is not just about right and wrong. Sin is about missing the mark. It's about missing expectations, particularly in your behavior. What is expected in your behavior. Now, so we understand what the word sin is. We talked about the fact that sin is not just right or wrong. And he also used the word forgive. Now, in the general sense, the word forgive means to send forth away, to let someone go. So forgiveness at the root is simply about letting what happened, what offense, what hurt go. Almost like the person was in a prison and we had them locked up. And so forgiveness is like opening the door and then allowing that person to go out. When we don't forgive people, we keep them in a prison. But when we do forgive, we open the door and allow that person to go. That's what the word forgive means. If we look up the standard definition of forgive, it simply means this: to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. To stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. What is an offense? It means to breach a law or rule, an illegal act. What is a flaw? It is a weakness in someone's character. What is a mistake? A mistake is an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. So let's go back up to the verse and read it again. This is verse 21, and Peter is asking Jesus. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how shall my brother miss the mark against me, and I have to not be resentful towards him, not hold him in prison and let him go? Is it 7 times? Then Jesus came back, and what Jesus did in we're looking at Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 and 22, and we're talking about, how do I forgive someone who has hurt me? How do I move on? How do I let them go? How do I physically do it? What is the process? Jesus said in verse 22, Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but 70 times 70. Now, let's talk about that phrase, 70 times 7. Now, what Jesus was really saying is that there is no amount of, no number of times that you have to forgive your brother. Really, when he says 70 times 70, yes, we know that 70 times 70 is 490, but Jesus is not telling Peter that you have, up to 490 times to forgive somebody before you don't have to forgive them anymore. What he's saying is this word for 70 times 70 simply means indefinite, unlimited. You know how you have unlimited talks and texts on your phone? Well, that's the way forgiveness is. Forgiveness is indefinite. I said forgiveness is indefinite because we are all flawed. We all make mistakes. We all have offenses. And from a biblical perspective, forgiveness is indefinite. So Jesus is not telling him, hey, you were supposed to forgive this person 490 times, and on the 491 time, you don't have to forgive them anymore. Now, so we know that this word 70 times 70 is just a general expression of a large number. In Genesis 4:24, it says, if Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 70 and 70-fold. So this basically means it is an unlimited amount of numbers. It is indefinite. So I don't have a limit on the amount of times that I have to forgive my brothers and sisters. Now, let me talk about what forgiveness is not. Now, forgiveness is not you being a doormat for anybody. Forgiveness does not mean you have to continue to let somebody hurt you either emotionally and physically. It's not that you have to continue to allow somebody to take advantage of you. That's not forgiveness. You can forgive somebody, right, and then cut them off. If you know that a person is continually taking advantage of you, is physically or emotionally abusive, you can forgive them just to release yourself, and then you can cut them off. Because forgiveness is not you continually putting yourself in the position to be hurt, to have your feelings hurt, to be taken advantage of, to be physically or verbally abused. Forgiveness is just simply about acknowledging that people are flawed, that people make mistakes, that people use bad judgment, but it doesn't mean that you are to be a doormat for anyone. And so, especially if things like it's money, a person borrows money from you, and I've always said you shouldn't lend out if you can't give it away. But if you lend out some money to a coworker or a friend, and then you go to that person and say, hey man, you said you would pay me back, and they don't pay you back. Now you can say, hey, I forgive that person for not paying me back, but guess what? I'm not loaning them any more money. No, I'm not, because you've shown me that you don't repay, and you're not a person of your word. So forgiveness does not mean that you are doormat. It does not mean you have to continually put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of. Now, let's go over at least 5 steps for how to forgive. Number 1, remember what forgiveness involves. You are not condoning the wrong or acting as if it never happened. You are simply letting it go. So you are not saying, okay, I forgive you, but I'm not telling you that you didn't do nothing wrong. And if you wasn't a big enough person to apologize to me, that makes it even worse. If you were to borrow money from me and then you come around and you know you didn't pay me and then you come around and tell me, hey, what's going on or what's up? No, you know that you owe me money, but I got to ask for it back. So forgiveness is not just about I'm condoning what you did, I'm approving what you did. It doesn't suggest that. You're just letting that person go because you can't hold on to it. If they don't pay you your money or if they've done something wrong to you, you can forgive them and then cut them off. You don't have to allow yourself to be taken advantage of. Number 2, recognize the benefits of forgiving someone. Letting go of the anger, of the resentment can help you keep calm, improve your health, and increase your happiness. When you forgive people, you're doing it because of you. When you forgive people, it frees your mind. When you forgive people, it sets you free. When you forgive people, it lets you have a clear conscience and you don't have any strife or envy towards that person. Matthew 5:9 says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Even more important, forgiving others is key to getting God's forgiveness for our sin. Now, when we look at our brothers and our sisters and people who offend us and we don't want to forgive them, and then we look at our own life and see how we've messed up and the mistakes that we've made and the people that we've hurt and the harsh words that we've said, and then we look to God and we realize that God has forgiven us, but yet we can't forgive those who's done us wrong. Matthew 6:14 say, if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will forgive you. Number 3, be empathetic. All of us are imperfect. James 3:2 talks about that. Just as we appreciate being forgiven, we should likewise forgive others of their mistakes. That's also looked at in Matthew 12:7 and 12. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even to them, for this is the law of the prophet. So basically, if you want somebody to forgive you, then you need to forgive them. Now, this person over here owes you $5 and you won't even forgive them, and you owe somebody $100 and you want them to forgive you. So just as you want men to forgive you, we have to forgive others. Number 4, be reasonable. When we have a minor cause for complaint, we can apply the Bible counsel, continue putting up with one another. In Colossians 3:13, forbearing one another, and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. So when somebody does, I have a complaint, maybe the person cut you off in traffic. Maybe the person wore your clothes without asking for permission. Maybe you asked the person to pick up some milk and bread, and then they didn't come home with the milk and bread, and you had to go out and stop, cooking dinner to go run to the store to get some milk and bread because this joker forgot to bring the milk and bread home. So these are things, just understand that there are people like you, and don't allow that stuff to build up and to raise up in your heart to where you can't even forgive over something simple. Maybe he don't put the toilet seat down and you left it up on purpose, So these are things that we have to realize that people are flawed and we have to forgive them. Number 5, and finally, act quickly. Act quickly. Work to forgive as soon as you can, rather than letting your anger fester. Man, you just sitting there. This person that made you mad, and you just sitting there. I ain't gonna say nothing to them. They ain't saying nothing to me. And it been going on for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, and you still bad about it. Ephesians 4:26 says, "Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath." So let's go back up and recap quickly. And summarize, today we're talking about how do we forgive someone who has hurt us. And we were looking at Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 and 22. And we saw that Peter asked Jesus about sin. If his brother sins against me. Now, the word sin simply means, it doesn't mean just right or wrong. Sin is when we miss the mark or we don't meet expectations in our behavior. He talked about forgiving. Simply means releasing somebody, letting them go. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your peace. It's not worth your mind. It's not worth your relationships. You only live once. And so forgive. It means to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, a flaw, or a mistake. And we found out that an offense is a breach of the law or rule. It is flaw is a weakness in someone's character, and a mistake is any action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. And finally, we talked about the steps for forgiving. Remember what forgiveness involves, recognizing the big benefits of forgiveness, and also being empathetic to that person, understanding that they are human just like you are. Number 4, be reasonable. For every little thing, you can't have unforgiveness towards somebody. And finally, act quickly and don't let your anger fester. I want to thank you for tuning in today, to listening or watching my content. I hope that it has been a blessing for you. If you find value in my content, will you do me a favor? Will you go down at the base of the video and hit the up thumb like button? Will you also go down and click the subscribe button as well and check all notifications so you can get notified when I upload content to YouTube? I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your time, and I want to tell you, God bless.